next time we have an argument, I remind my wife that we are experts. And so we're not supposed to go in any fight, any argument, nothing, because it never happens to us, absolutely never. So it's a pleasure, it's a privilege for us to be here with you. We are Eric and Rachel. Okay, to break the ice, we speak funny. You've noticed something bizarre about when the way we speak? It's because we're French. And so we've been here in Jubilee for the last 10 years, actually. It's been our home church for 10 years already, which shows how old we are.
Yes. We've been married 27 years.
Yes.
And I was counting, we've been together for 30 years. Yes. Thank you. I think it's really good.
Okay, I asked for her hand, she was 16. And I was 22, but she was my pastor's daughter, so I had no choice, you know. I wanted to stay alive. And he didn't know when he baptized me that I would be his son-in-law. He would have kept me underwater a bit longer. But
no, he loves you.
So we were pastors in France for 9 years. We've been missionaries to Laos. That is a small country in Southeast Asia. Not sure you know, but it's just by Thailand. And so from Laos, we moved to the States. And we have 5 sons. They're all adults, all grown-up sons now. They're in the process of getting married, one after another.
Between 26 and 19 years old.
We have married 2 sons this year, so pray for us. Because 2 the same year was kind of a challenge, but it's nice.
And yes, it's true. Normally we speak about sexuality, but we are the first one for this season, so John and Joanna said, no, we can't start with that. We'll scare them. So, another time, another year. Who has already been to one of those Jubilee conferences where we spoke on marriage? Okay, you guys, if you want to come and teach for us, please feel free. We are going to review some basics, and the topic tonight is how to maintain friendship and love in your relationship. It's true that to be married, you need to stay friends and you need to stay in love. And when you're a teenager or kids, maybe you think it's just natural. It comes from the heaven to your heart, and that's it. You are just in love forever. It's not always the truth. Oh, see, I forgot about the book. Okay, so before we start, Eric will do the beginning of the talk. But before we start, my first book is going to be released tomorrow. So, thank you. It really feels like a baby. Yeah, this is it.
Who understands the title first?
You have to get it. Yeah.
Guys, you're allowed to buy it and to read it too. Actually, I highly suggest it. You know the topic we're not going to talk about tonight? That's the subject of the book. So
whoever the vajayjay, which is vagina, in case someone needs translation. Female sexuality from cradle to grave. So if you want some info, if you were to buy it on Amazon, and if you were to like it, please give me 5 stars and a good comment. They told me that on Amazon. If you get 50 stars or 100 stars, they push your book. So that's really a big deal. Anyway, that's it. So what we are not going to talk about, you will find the answers in this book. Okay, friendship.
So it's true that very often we hear that before being married, you have all kind of butterflies in the stomach. You know, guys, when you're not able to put 2 words together that have any meaning together, and suddenly you're sweating. One of our sons is kind of in the process of falling in love, and he called us yesterday, and he was like, "Dad, Mom, there's something wrong with me. I couldn't say 2 words that were clever words, and I look stupid to her, and this is done, it's over, because I couldn't speak." That's the beginning of feeling in love. And then sometimes you hear that. I heard it, you might have heard it too. Once married, that it seems that marriage kills love. Really, you can't wait till the day you get married, and after you're married, then life kicks in, and then you have the routine, and then you work together, and together you have different jobs, and then suddenly it seems that something's missing or something's decreasing. After a few weeks, few months, sometimes it comes quite fast, but something's missing that you had at the beginning, but you don't quite enjoy the same afterwards. And so that's what we would like to talk about tonight with you.
Because it's not meant to stop. Someone said one day, the best thing in marriage is to be married to your best friend. And this comes with intentionality. You cannot just wait for it to happen. Friendship is built, and it's built so to make it easy to remember, we deconstructed it into a ladder. You will draw it?
Yeah.
Into a ladder, and we want to go through those steps. Of course, it's not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's just to give you an idea and to help you revisit the way you built your own friendship. And so that will give you the possibility to keep working on it until the end of your life together. Our kids are leaving the nest, and sometimes we hear, it's awful, we are empty nesters, what are we going to do now? We tell them, if you come back home unannounced, please ring or text before, because we could be running naked in the house or something. And they take us very seriously. They're like, Dad and Mom, we are coming at this time. Are you okay? I'm like, yes. And we love our sons. We love our daughters-in-law. Our neighbors were telling us not long ago, they're always back to your house. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. We try to kick them, but they come back all the time. But I love having them, but I love having the two of us in the house. The question that Joanna asked, what was the best time of your day? We had lunch, just the two of you. It was awesome.
Two of us.
Two of us. It was awesome to have lunch just by ourselves. Those things come with intentionality. You have to set the course of what you want to see for your marriage. If you have kids, if you have young kids, what do you want to look like as husband and wife when they are gone? If you don't have kids, how do you stay friends? So it looks a little bit like this. Tu vas écrire?
Yeah.
And the first connection, one more time, revisit when you first met. The first conversation you had, very likely, they were around intellectual topics. Like, we start by saying, hello, we are French. Sometimes if we don't see, we go to a place where a store, and I say hello, and they say, oh, where are you from? I'm just like, how do you know? I just said hello. And they're like, what's this accent? So if I'm a little bit naughty, I said, I'm from Texas. And they're like, oh,
From
okay.
Paris, Texas.
Yeah. And they go, oh, okay. And they don't ask anymore. Like, I don't have a Texas accent anyway. You speak about intellectual stuff. You know, where are you from? What do you do in life? Maybe what's going on in the world? Politics?
Yeah, don't talk about politics. No. Maybe it's not the best option in a relationship.
No elections, right now?
No election right now, but yeah.
And the key is it still alive in your friendship? Do you still find times where you enjoy talking about what's going on in the world? When you enjoy talking about something you read on your news feed, or having a debate at home around a particular topic at
So
level?
maybe you're thinking, yes, but when I come back from work, I'm so exhausted, and maybe you've talked to many people, maybe you're selling some stuff to people, and the one thing you just don't want to do is talking more, even if it's your spouse, because you're done talking, you're exhausted. You just want to enter your empty box, especially for guys. You know about the empty box, right? You heard about the concept. This box where you don't want anyone, especially not your wife, to come in with you and just, you're lost in your thoughts. Actually, there is no thought. There's just an empty box. That's what it is. And we just don't want to be disturbed there.
It's real, ladies. It's true. They have this.
So how do you do that when the day has been long, it's been exhausting, you've been working hard, and then there is this person that you love and you want to talk together, but you just don't have the energy? Well, there are things you can do to organize some specific time. Maybe you need a shower before. Maybe you can have a glass of wine if you like that, or whatever you want. That will make it enjoyable and not something exhausting, one more task you have to do.
Conversations are important. Set up time for conversations. It's important. Then you need to have fun. When life becomes busy, what do you do as recreational? What did you do when you were dating or before you got married that was fun? And what do you still do today that is fun? How long has it been since you did something new together at the fun level? Those are good questions for yourselves. I don't know how you work your years, but I don't know if you do, the beginning of the year. This is going back to school season, so do you do a review of how the year is going to look like? Maybe it's a good time to look at your hobbies or what you do for fun. There are plenty of options in Colorado. We love Colorado for this, but we need to take the time to still stay friends at the fun level and not end up having years after years after years with no time to relax.
In other words, and we're going to come back on that, but being intentional means you just don't look at your life and someone else decides for you. And very often we hear that it feels like we don't live the life we wanted to live because we don't have time anymore. It's always rushing, rushing, rushing. And so, indeed, it's never going to get any better if you don't do something about it. Or what it's worse sometimes, we hear people saying, once I'll be retired, I'll have more time for myself and my spouse. And you don't know that, actually. You want to live your life now. And you want to enjoy it to the fullest now. Because you don't know if tomorrow actually does not belong to us. Tomorrow is a question mark. Today is where I can do something about it. So we are really stressing the point, being intentional means regaining control over your life and trying to bring back some, instead of chaos, bring back some things that you actually dreamed about living together when you were not married together. And having fun. How many of you love having fun together? It doesn't mean that you're not going to have fun between guys and between girls. Rachel, and you might have heard us say that, but Rachel loves Bollywood movies, for instance. Do you know what it is? Never heard about, not Hollywood, but Bollywood. It's a worse version of Hollywood. It lasts forever.
It makes
anyways,
me laugh.
it's made in Mumbai, in Bombay, if you want. That's why it's called Bollywood, Indian movies.
And last year we stopped in one of our travel through India, and I was like, where are those people dancing? And it's not like that. Anyway, so...
So I'm not saying you should, guys, always join in Bollywood movies, but you can find a common ground. You can find common things that you can do together. They do shorter versions now, just 2 hours instead of 5.
Hey.
So it's more it's more okay to watch these. You heard about the Soccer World Cup recently? Who won
Who
already?
won?
I don't remember.
Do you know who won?
I think we did.
Friends did.
And then it happens every 4 years. But goodness, Rachel doesn't care about football, but that was something in the house. All the sons were there, and we were like shouting like mad people in the house. Put a big, huge French flag outside, and everybody knew we just won.
Yeah.
But she doesn't like it, but we had fun. That was fun being together, sharing a fun event. What is it that you could do on daily, maybe not daily basis, but weekly basis or monthly basis that could bring some fun back into your relationship?
Okay, the next step is social. These events are great. Those events are great for that. So we have 2 sons married, one is getting married. Our first advice when they go to and have to find a new church because they moved is, I tell them all the time, okay, you found a group yet? I'm asking all the time, so have you found a group yet? Because they need to find a group, a marriage group. When you're young, newlywed, finding a marriage group is a great way to find friendships in a church. So these groups that you are coming tonight are great for that. We need to have places where we can interact with other couples and we can discover how the other one functions in a group as well. You know, you have some people, they love to be by themselves, and some other are just loving the interaction. Well, when you have those 2 different styles in a couple, it's great to mingle with other people. We'll speed up a little bit, but yeah, social are very important. So please make sure you have good groups of friends, connect, because like this at 2 a.m. you can call someone if you need prayer. It's very true what Joanna said. So those 3 first levels are very simple, basic, and too often overlooked. Too often overlooked. I think those are the most needed to be paid attention to. Is it English? Oh. You understand, right? You need to pay attention to those ones because we overlook them. Life is too busy. And those, they happen outside of the body. We can go through all of this as a group. This is great. The next 3 steps, we are going to dive into the other one's heart, soul, and body. Because the 3 next steps are emotional, spiritual, and sexual/physical. Emotional. The Bible says that when you are married, you become one. It's not only at the body level. We become one at the emotional level, the soul level, at the spiritual level, the spirit level, and yes, of course, at the sexual level. But becoming one at the emotional level needs to be worked on too. We need, especially women, so we talked about the empty box on the men's side, but women, we need to process emotions most of the times. Women need to speak about the day and get all this out. You know the Mark Gungor speech, videos on the two brains. You've seen this? Okay, the brain,
the Tale of Two Brains.
Tale of Two Brains. If you have not, this is a great one to watch. Our brain is like a spaghetti ball. We need all of this is connected, and we need to get it out. To be able to get it out, we need to set up time. So we want to recommend an exercise that we call 10-10-10.
The 10-10-10. You can make it the 5-5-5 if you're really not good at first communicating at the emotional level, but I'm sure
for beginners,
you will learn quickly. So it's about, well, let's say 10-10-10 for the purpose of the example.
It's the goal, 10-10-10.
It's spending the 10 first minutes after maybe you showered, you put the kids to bed, and you had a good meal together. You take a kind of a quiet time, and you take your spouse in your arm, and then you don't say a word for 10 minutes. Just enjoy being in each other's arms. How difficult is that, guys? Can you do that? Can we all say I can do that? That, honey, I'm good for it.
Okay, so we need to pause here. This is right? NSA.
Oh, that's true. What is NSA?
Non-sexual affection. So those 10 minutes are not leading to anything sexual. It's non-sexual affection, pure non-sexual affection. So you hold your wife and you don't think about, I'm just getting started here. No, you're not. Because you're getting started at the emotional level, okay?
By the way,
this is very important.
I have a tip for you guys. The better the NSA will be, on a regular basis.
So non-sexual affection, right? Not the government
The more
stuff.
your wife will be interested in SA, sexual affection, in another time, at another time in the week, or at another time during the same day. But if you can differentiate both times and really invest in a non-sexual affection time, you will see the benefits of doing that at the sexual time.
So 10 first minutes, you don't talk. You can look at something beautiful. You can put music on. You just hold each other's body. Why? Because when you do this, our bodies, God created our bodies in an incredible way. Do you have medical people in the room? Some? Okay, some are shy. Okay, God created our body in an amazing way. We can agree on that. When you're married and you're sexual, our bodies learn to release a hormone called oxytocin, which is the bonding hormones, the one that makes you feel safe and connected and bonded, and the feeling when the other one touches you. So it's extremely important that we touch. French people, we French kiss. Okay, I hope you American people French kiss too, because this is a great way for the other stuff we don't talk about tonight. But when you French kiss at least 9 times a day, that's the minimum.
That's a lot.
That's not a lot. 9 times a day, you end up having the same pool of bacteria in your mouth, which is great for your bodies to get used to each other. Okay, this is just a side info.
Between brackets.
Anyway, so you just hold each other, and your bodies are getting this great hormone that makes you feel connected.
And and it's a good tip also, whenever you're tense between the two of you,
yes,
hold each other's hands or arms, and you will see the desire to win any argument, or the tension you have in you, or because maybe the day was tough at work, it's going to just vanish. It's going to go away just because of the oxytocin's presence in your bloodstream.
It doesn't make you agree on the stuff, but it makes you not as mad as before, which helps at the end to agree on.
So it's a different thing. It's when conflict resolution is not our topic tonight, but always think about, back to our 10-10-10, the 10 first minutes is just to be cleansed from the harshness of the day, the difficult things you had to deal with. Just being together will tremendously help you to relax. Then
the next 10 minutes,
okay, guys, try to guess who's going to speak first.
We are. Because we have stuff to say. This is your chance. Ladies, just open up your hearts. And don't criticize him. That's not the time to do this. But just share what was hard today, what was great today. And husbands, please don't try to fix what she's talking about. If she tells you about difficult stuff at work, don't threaten to go and kick someone's ass. Butt. Okay? You just listen and you do something like, oh, wow, I understand. I hear you. This is horrible. Or this is great. That's it. You don't even have to really understand everything. It's not lying. It's listening. Validating.
Just validate what your wife is telling you.
You can ask a question if you want to understand more, but just let her talk. And then after, she will say, sometimes the husbands come back and say, I said nothing, and everything was fixed. Just by listening. Yes, that's how it works. It's true, right? Do you agree, ladies? Just listen to me, and then I'll feel better after, and then that's it. Okay, so for the second 10 minutes, the very important piece for you, husband, is to remember to not try to fix it and to not argue with what she's saying. If she said that it's the end of the world, that she broke a nail, I do that. If I break a nail, then it's the end of the world for the next half an hour. That's it. Well, don't tell her it's nothing, it will grow back. No, it will take 2 weeks, and the next conference I will have a broken nail. So don't tell me it's nothing, just say it's horrible. All my boys know how to do that, so their wives are very happy about that. If they scream about something like this, they go with the flow. That's the next 10 minutes. And then...
And so if you're not comfortable, men, to speak about your emotions, and you're not really, you don't really know how to do it, well, you have 10 minutes to learn. Learn from the expert, learn from your spouse, and see how she brings it. And then by validating, you also understand what she's saying. Because she's your spouse. You're one. And so whatever she feels, you'll feel it one way or another. And so learn during that time, and then, you guessed it, the last 10 minutes are yours. So go for it. Maybe it won't be the first time, it won't be exceptional, but it's like literally learning a new language. The first times you say really stupid stuff, you don't really know how to express it, but then as you practice, you'll become better and better at it. And I can promise you, you'll be surprised how easy it becomes to reach into your emotions and share them, because it's safe, because you're with your spouse. And so she won't ridicule you, she won't criticize you at that time, because the same rules applies to her, by the way. So you're not supposed to fix your husband's issues at all. Just listen to him and encourage him by validating what he's saying. And you will see it builds trust.
Yes.
And then when you feel safe, there's no problem opening up. Because as guys, we don't like opening up on our emotions, because we feel like they're going to laugh, or they're going to think I'm weak, or they're going to think this and that is negative. Because we were taught, boys don't cry, boys don't show emotions, blah, 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 which is totally against what Jesus teaches us, by the way. But it's in us, because it was repeated to us 100 times, 1,000 times. So, but then you have your 10 minutes, and you'll see. The more you do it, the easier it will become, and you will actually find yourself enjoying it. Because finally, you can have a safe place where you can do that. And that's tremendous.
So it was a little bit stereotyped that the men don't know how to express emotion and the women do. Sometimes it's the opposite. Okay? The one that is more comfortable with sharing emotions starts. You hold each other, you don't speak. Then the one who is comfortable this time to share first, go first, and then the husband. And then the next one. Sorry. Husbands do share emotions too. They do have emotions too, even. So that really, really encourage you to do that. Not once a year, right? We are talking about maybe once a week or more. Great advice to make sure you stay connected and that the days don't slip out of your life.
Spiritual friendship.
Okay, so important, the spiritual friendship.
I'd like you to quickly answer a question, not out loud, just for yourself. Do you know precisely what is the last thing that God told your spouse about? Do you know that? Could you answer the question right away? Oh yeah, I know, my God told my wife that about this topic. And do you know? That's super important, and I'm not trying to trap you, and it's super important that you always know what is it that your spouse is receiving from God, the connection you have at that level. Because God has a great sense of humor. I guess it's a Jewish sense of humor. But then maybe you've been praying for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or a month about something, and you're not hearing any answer from him. And then at the same time, your spouse, every time, for instance, she comes before God, she has these thoughts about a specific topic, but she doesn't know what to do with that. Try to guess what it could be. You're one spiritually, which means God wants you to communicate together and share, because two are stronger than one. And so you're together one spiritually, and he wants you to always walk with him together as a married couple. This is a strength.
And if we were preaching, we could speak about wife, be submissive to your husband, and husband, love your wives. Those are challenging passages sometimes. But you know, this whole submission piece for the wives, it's so easy when she feels safe spiritually. And what does it mean for a wife to feel safe spiritually? Well, this is a great question for the husband to ask your wife. It could mean, you know what, when you pray before the day starts with me, even 2 minutes, I feel safe and protected for the day. When we pray together because there is an emergency in our life, I feel safe and protected and ready to be submissive. When you take care of our children's spiritual education and you answer their questions and you tell them the Bible stories at night, oh, this is so sexy and make me feel so safe. Each woman is different, so it's a great conversation to have between husband and wife. What do you need to feel connected? When our kids, and we'll go to the dates, but when our kids were young, we realized that we were having our spiritual time individually when they were still asleep or when they were already in bed at night. So they would never see us having this time with God. And so I was staying at home more than Eric at this time. So I started to take my Bible during the day, so just they would see me doing it. Honestly, I was not reading my Bible. I was sleeping on it, something like this. But, well, 5 kids in 6 years and a half, so a little bit of compassion. But they saw us, you know, having this. It's important for me to know that Eric has his time with God. The shape it works for him, but it's important for me to know he's connected.
So again, the shape could be you talk together. You don't have to pray per se in a very formal way. You can be talking together about the things that God is putting on your heart. You can be reading different books and having a dedicated time once a week where you're going to share what you found in that book that really touched your heart and talk to you. But again, we need to know where the other is, spiritually speaking. And it won't happen by chance or by accident. One more time, you need to organize it, say together what works for you, and put it in practice.
Okay, and for the
last one.
Well, the last piece, you can read my book. But so we will not talk about that. It's a whole hour on conversation on sexuality. So we will jump into the date.
You know, when you're full in love, you have those butterflies we talked together about, and the fact that you have a problem concentrating and everything. This is because there is another hormone that is kicking in your bloodstream. It's called the PEA. It's a kind of cocaine, but a natural one that your brain produces, so there's nothing illegal there. But then that's the falling in love hormone. And once you get married, and that's the reason why people say marriage kills love. It's because normally this hormone I'm talking about, will decrease between 6 months to 2 years and will go down a little bit, especially if you don't do anything to maintain it at a satisfying level. It will totally go down and be totally replaced.
It's released in the body with peaks like this.
Yeah.
And then after 6 months to 2 years, it's less and less and less, unless you
and
work
the oxytocin
on it. And the
is
oxytocin
there.
comes up in the picture. So a great way to maintain this great hormone, the I feel in love type of hormone alive, is to put in place something that we are extremely strong believer in, one date every week. One date every week.
So I know you're thinking they're crazy, it's because they're French. because they have all the time they want during the day, but they don't know my days and they don't know my
9 times
weeks.
a day, so poof.
So I promise you, especially because you have rough weeks, this is not luxury to have 2 hours a week with the person that is the most important on earth. To you, it's your spouse. No one else is more important than your spouse. So it's not luxury to have a kind of a bubble where the world can fall apart. You don't care because you're going to spend 2 hours not talking about problems, not fixing your marriage, not talking about work. Repeat after me. I won't talk about work. I won't answer my cell phone, except if it's the babysitter because the house is on fire because the kids. We had a tough time finding babysitters for 5 sons. I don't understand
I don't know why.
They were always like, nah, I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. So anyways, they were angels. Yeah. So every year they're telling us stuff we didn't know that they had done in the past. And then and they're releasing the info just now.
Yes.
It's just horrible. So anyways.
Okay, I'll tell you one. So we are missionaries, right? Missionary kids on the mission field. They line up with their friends and they peed on the grandma doing her vegetable garden down there. Yeah, the local lady, right? Yeah, that's our kids.
They were young.
Okay.
So anyway, you found a babysitter. You're not like us. You found a good one because you raised your kids a lot better than we've done. And so you don't answer the cell phone. There is a voicemail for that reason. And so you just spend 2 hours. What are we going to talk about? Sometimes it's scary because you've lost that capacity to talk about, well, guess what? Talk about your feelings toward each other. Mm-hmm. You need to talk about your sexual life too. You know the thing we're not talking about tonight? You need to have a conversation and being able to talk together about it without shame, without blushing, without being embarrassed, because this is your spouse you're talking with. So it has to be something normal.
Dreams, anything that makes you look forward to it. When our kids were young, so when they were this age where we could not leave them behind, we would just put them in bed. And by then we lived in France when they were babies. We left France when Ellie, our youngest one, was 1.5 years old. So during the French season, we would put them to bed and we lived in a condo building, and we would just open one window and walk around the building to make sure we could see all the time our apartment in case there is a fire or something. But we would just walk around this building where our kids were sleeping to have this spot of time, this pocket of time, 2 hours a week only, to stay connected and to make sure that we would dream. Some of the dreams we dreamed there are alive today because we dreamt of serving God overseas and maybe one day bringing our family to the States. It's true. And I truly believe that God was with us when we were on a date. And when you do this, your bodies produce this PEA hormone again, and you feel like when it's daytime, I'm all excited, like when I was 16, which is yesterday, of course. But it's the same feeling, which is so important. That how you make sure that friendship lasts and love lasts. We don't want to just wake up one day and wonder, who is this old woman or old guy I'm sleeping by? This is my bed tonight. Who is he? We want to stay connected. Wherever we are in the world, we travel a lot. We always, the first thing we decide is, okay, which day is date night and where are we going to go? So, and like we say, you've heard that, maybe us say that. If you speak French and it's our date night, don't sit by our side on the coffee place. You will blush. It's your problem. But and we have to be careful because, you know, when you're in the States, you assume like not that many people speak French, and we speak fast, so it's difficult to understand. But we do find people speaking our language places in the world. Anyway, you get the idea? It's even if we didn't have a lot of money, so it was not expensive. We walked around the building, but it created great memories. And today, our kids getting married, they go on date nights with their wives. As soon as they start dating, they start date nights, and when they are married, they tell us, don't call us on Friday night. We're on a date night. We're like, we're not calling you on Friday night anyway, so. But they, you know, they make sure that it's alive because they saw it happen, and it changes the life of your relationship and the next one.
in conclusion, you know, very often you hear, if you love me, you should know. And then try to guess. Because love answers everything. It's like there is a cloud, not the iCloud, the love cloud. And if you love me, you should, from the cloud, know immediately what I feel, what I need, how I want it, how often. No, it's just not the real world. It takes intentionality. It takes talking together, working together on that. And then remember, as the scripture says, we are three in any given marriage. There's your spouse and yourself, and there's your Savior. And this is real, meaning Christ will be with you. And what Rachel said is really true. We've dreamed together, walking along this little river, and then things that we dreamed of took place afterwards. Because God was walking with us as we were talking and dreaming and having a date together. The Lord was also having a date with us. He created you. He wanted your relationship. You're together. He wants to bless it. And so nothing happens by chance. It requires a decision and to put it into practice. And if we were able to make it work, I'm telling you, you will be able to make it work. So
yeah, so we want to open for Q&A, few minutes if you want to. If anyone has questions on how to maintain friendship and love alive, yes. And then after the table conversation will be around what do you do to maintain your friendship and your love alive. What are you doing right now? What ideas can we gain from you guys at the table? And also, what was inspiring for you to start doing in your own relationship? So first, anyone has a question?
maybe we should have had a box.
No, it's
Well,
it's
maybe
not
you have a
conversation
friend,
on sexual.
you know of someone who has a question.
Yeah, that's easy.
And because this person is so shy, you're gonna go and then on behalf of this person, you're gonna ask the question.
You can ask outside of the topic too. This is our night with you. If there is no question, then we'll go to the table conversations.
Okay.
Okay. Yes.
Why not? Yep.
You guys have been married for 30 years, so I'd hate to go for an opportunity to ask questions and have none, but what's some good advice that you'd have for more newlywed couples?
Thank you. Not even 27.
Oh, we've been
In a
together
month,
for
27.
30
We've been
years.
together for 30 years. We're not that old, especially my wife is not
I'm
that old.
27. That's always what I say when someone asks. Great advice. Seriously, the date, I think,
Yeah.
was life-saving because of having those babies. We wanted those babies that close, but I would have drawn into babyhood. I don't know if it's something, motherhood, I'm guessing. Yeah, motherhood. And juggling the ministry and those babies, it kept me feeling like a woman. Because I had at least for those 2 hours to set my mind into wife mode, which helps for the rest of the week. To be into wife mode. For a woman, staying wife before you're a mom can be a challenge with young babies. And that helped a lot. And it helped keeping the fun in between us too.
As much as we were able to, it hasn't always been perfect from that, but we tried not having taboos between the two of us. A taboo, it's something that you don't want to talk about. I'm just talking about between husband and wife because you're afraid either, one, you're going to be hurt by her reaction or his reaction, or you might hurt your spouse. So you're just going to keep it quiet. And by avoiding the topic, actually, it feels like it's working because you're not having a fight, or you're not having shame, or you're not having a tense time, because you're not addressing it. And taboos are like cancer. You know, it never stays on one single cell. It will multiply. Meaning after a few years of taboo, you're going to have a big bowl of topics that you never address. And you're like two roommates. You ask who's going to get the kids or who's going to fill the tank, but you actually never feel safe enough to talk about topics that really matters between the two of you. And you know you should, but you just don't want to risk yourself going there. So it's not always been perfect, but it's been something that we always tried to do. It's trying never having taboos between the two of us as best as we could. Sometimes we're better than others, but we tried to do that the best we could, and actually it really helped us to talk about many things.
We also decided to never go to sleep angry at each other. Not once. So, okay, we went to bed agreeing to disagree. That's different, right? So we agreed to disagree. Like,
We are two strong, stubborn
you're
people,
driving me
so-
crazy right now, but I choose to love you because love sometimes is a decision. It's a feeling, of course, but sometimes it's a decision. So I choose to love you even if you drive me crazy tonight. Let's talk about it tomorrow. That was life-saving too. And seriously, keeping the sexual side of the relationship alive is a key. And you know, sometimes the wife's duty and all of those conversations on wives who don't want to be sexual with their husband, please, if you feel in this position, find help. If the sexual piece is not great in your life, find help. Don't settle for less, because it keeps the relationship alive. It keeps you protected spiritually, connected emotionally, and in great health physically. So that's another piece that is very
I'd
important.
like to summarize quickly what we just said. You know, Adam and Eve, they were naked and had no shame. And we always think, oh, they were naked physically, which is true. But between husband and wife, we have to be naked emotionally, spiritually, and sexually. And it's not always easy. Sometimes we cover ourselves for the reasons I just shared. But try to make it your objective, always being emotionally transparent between the two of you guys, spiritually aware of what's happening with your spouse, and sexually committed and friends at the sexual level. Trying to have this triple nakedness always active between the two of you, the best you can.
Okay, we can take another question, and then after we go to your table conversations. Yeah.
Yes?
Good.
Not sexual right away.
Okay. We have a very organized way to do it. It's true. So that's to tell you how much experience we have. If we are in a
We
conflict,
fought a lot.
yeah. So if we're in a conflict, we allow ourselves to say, I want a time out, and we allow ourselves to have 3 times half an hour max. So if Eric is driving me crazy, I'll say, hey, I want my time out. I don't want to talk to you right now. Time out. I want my 30 minutes, my 1 hour, or my 1 hour and a half. And that's bad. And then...
And you know why? Because when we would fight, one of us has a very cold kind of anger with words that are sharp like a blade, you know. Always...
Very efficient.
Yeah. The other one doesn't know what he's saying, regrets what he said as soon as he said it, and I would lose every single argument all the time.
Yeah.
So I was like, it's unfair. I'm never going to make it.
Because I think everything I say during those times, so I would hold him forever. Until like, you said that, so now... Anyway, so an hour and a half. And then I don't want to see him. I go in our room and I pout. I learned this word in English to be able to say it. I pout. I pray a little bit, but I pout a lot. It's true. This is just how it is. I'm like, I can't believe it. I do all of this. I don't know what you do. What do you do?
I'm mad at you.
There you go. Okay. So we get to do that for an hour and a half. You better milk it during this hour and a half, because we agreed that after this, we will re-engage. So, okay, this is our job, right? But even if it's what we tell people, after an hour and a half, I still don't want to talk to Eric. This is the reality. But we have committed ourselves to do it. So we come back together, and we don't speak. We hold hands, the 2 hands. And we wait for the oxytocin to work. You need to use what God has given you. You just wait, and you can feel it, I promise you. We look into each other's eyes, so we come back very mad. Then we hold hands, we look into each other's eyes, and we don't speak. And after a minute or 2, you feel the pressure gone inside.
And you feel it because, well, first it's a physical tension that disappears, but then suddenly you do not want at all costs to win the argument. Because you realize you can't defeat your spouse. If you defeat your spouse, you defeat yourself. You're one. And as soon as you're like, I'm going to push it till you agree with me, and you know it's not going to work. But when you're stubborn, at least like I am stubborn sometimes, that's the way I have, and then once we have held hands, suddenly it's going to disappear, and you realize we need a decision, an agreement that will be mutually beneficial.
And then, most of the time, Eric is really good at that. He starts by saying, you know what? We are going to make it because God is in the picture and we don't have another option. We are in a covenant, so we are going to make it. If it's very bad, then he will pray. God help us. And then we talk. And those conversations are not solved on the spot, but at least are okay, when you diffuse a bomb, it's whatever.
Diffusing.
Okay?
Yeah.
Are diffused, and maybe we will be able to talk over weeks because there are roots of those issues. So we will dig until we find an aha moment where, okay, we know what happens right there. So I'm not saying like after an hour and a half, in 5 minutes, we solve the problem. But at least we are in a place where we can talk about the problem. But if we are starting to disagree and we feel the fight coming, if we start fighting, it's called a fear dance. Even the two of us, as expert as we are, we end up hurt if we do the dance, the fear dance, hurt and further away from when we started. That's why we do not talk when we are in a disagreement. We take our time out, we reconnect, we pray, we start talking about it, and we say, okay, let's finish this conversation tomorrow. Let's set a time to go and dig and understand what happened here. And we don't give up until we find the option. Sometimes it took us weeks to find the solution, but when you find it, that's great because you will never fight about that again.
And what is
there will be
important
another
is
one, though.
the first one who feels the aha moment has to stay engaged in the conversation as long as the other one didn't find it. So you have to commit yourself to the process and promise, I'm going to keep working with you as long as you haven't found yourself the solution that will be mutually beneficial.
All right, and we give back the mic to your table leaders.